I totally, first of all, disagree with this approach. There is no allocation of this money going to gender desks or the courts. And we even have a victim protection board, which I feel should be resourced. We need more money towards fighting GBV and femicide. But we also need to be careful on how we are spending this money, because the money is being disbursed to leaders as if it is a form of NGCDF or a form of CDF. Collaborator. 2, substantial resources be earmarked for enhancing the already existing sexual gender-based violence courts, the SGBV courts, to expeditiously and effectively handle GBV cases to conclusion. 3, as legislators, because we are legislators, legislation of gender courts such that we pass the laws that cap all GBV cases to 6 months in court. As one of the drafters of the Kenya Kwanza Women Charter, I persistently continue to encourage all Kenya Kwanza leaders, particularly the women, to keep the focus and not to digress, such that we are able to deliver what we promised the phenomenal women of Kenya. As you are aware, and you will see, there was a Gazette notice on a task force for the implementation of a program to curb gender-based violence. And there is a memo that came from the Ministry of Gender to both the National Assembly and the Senate. And in that memo, there is a proposal of how this 100 million that has been allocated to GBV should be spent. And if you go through that, it gives a proposed breakdown of the budget where we'll be targeting programs through the women leaders. And the proposed breakdown is all about having tents and chairs and having a conversation with the people on constituency level, which is not a bad thing. I just think that we would have a more effective approach if we deal with the pressing issues as at now, which is ensuring that the perpetrators of GBV are actually brought to book, and that has to be done through the GBV courts and also through the gender desks. So if you look at the proposal, it is more of advocacy through the leaders. I am one of the leaders who should also be carrying out this advocacy, but I feel at this moment what we need is to target, first of all, the gender courts and the gender desks, and as legislators, if we can be able to pass a law where we don't end up having cases in courts for years and years. You know, the same way we have the small claims courts, we can actually cut that the timing of any case that we have under GBV takes up to 6 months. And this can be done with the help of the Victim Protection Board, with the help of the GBV courts. This is a conversation that I have had with the CJ, and I feel that at this moment, the intent of this 100 million should be placed more on these particular issues, other than going down to the grassroots and convening individuals randomly to tell them to stop participating in this GBV. Thank you. Any questions? The memo that was sent out is that we have 102 members of parliament, that is 47 women representatives, 28 single constituency members of parliament who are women. There are 6 nominated members of the National Assembly, and then there are 3 elected senators and 18 nominated senators, which brings it to 102. So 102, the proposal is that 102 constituencies are targeted for advocacy, which I believe is a good start, but I think at this point, this 100 million would be better spent making the gender desk more efficient and making the gender courts more efficient. And in terms of legislators, because we are legislators, what we should be doing, particularly in this coming session, is ensuring that we pass a law that we cap all cases of GBV to just last a possible maximum of 6 months. I feel this is where we should put the intent. I totally, first of all, disagree with this approach. According to the proposal, which I think I have shared with you, according to the proposal, there is a memo here proposing on how this 100 million should be spent. There is no allocation of this money going to gender desks or the courts. And we even have a victim protection board, which I feel should be resourced. So what I'm saying is we welcome the 100 million. In fact, we need more. We need more money towards fighting GBV and femicide. But we also need to be careful on how we are spending this money. Because putting together 1,000 people in a constituency and saying stop beating each other is a good thing. But it doesn't mean that is what will stop the GBV. Absolutely. In fact, that is one of the reasons why I'm saying the 100 million is it's a positive step going forward. And I commend His Excellency President William Ruto because he is actually delivering to the Kenya Kwanza Women Charter, which he promised and signed to the women of Kenya. However, I would say that we need a more sustainable approach. And I actually think this is a missed opportunity by the Ministry of Gender, because the money is being disbursed to leaders as if it is a form of NGCDF or a form of CDF. Yet this is a very special case of resource that needs to be targeted. So I think the ministry has missed an opportunity to actually be the lead, to take the lead on this 100 million and make it a permanent resource that we can even go and fundraise from outsiders, from the international community in terms of donor funding, so that this is not a one-off. Because as you have said, once we go talk to the people once a day, it is not like GBV happens once a year. That the way we are approaching it is we are going to talk to them in one day, one sitting, put a tent, chairs, you know, and then that's it.
Women leaders are sharing it out. How much is each getting? And have you also gotten your share back?
The current.
Now, what is your take on the technical working of the sector, especially the leadership? Now that we have the former DCD who was accused of GBV heading this technical team.
Thank you. So you can give them this one. I know. Oh, and there's who doesn't have this?